Let's go. Game time.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Better Baby Daddy podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, John Laxman.
I'm your other co-host, Kelly Burgess.
And today, B, we're going to talk about being strong, being resilient as a man post-divorce and post-breakup, right?
Yeah.
It's finding that confidence and that self-worth as a single father.
Yeah, so, when you do go through the breakup, whoever initiates it, it's natural to feel like, man, I'm emotionally set back. I'm not the same. I'm not whole. And so we want to speak to developing that sense of confidence in this new role, reframing, your life in this new role, and understand that you got self-worth, and there's things that you can do to build confidence as a dad.
Right, absolutely. And we also want to preface this that depending on the environment, the culture, your ethnicity, divorce and breakups are viewed differently.
No doubt.
Right? It's not that anyone really accepts a divorce.
Right.
There's no culture that it's like, oh, yeah, it's cool, it's great. Unless there's something very intense happening within that relationship that it's beneficial for a person to be outside of that relationship. But they're just viewed differently when you come from different dynamics, I would say.
Correct.
So we do want to say that, in a culture where it has very low divorce rates because of how their society is set up, right? If you get divorced in that culture, it's like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, we don't see a lot of divorced Asians walking around, right?
No.
Indians, people like that. We don't see a lot of divorce. In America, divorce rate's very high.
Yeah.
It's not viewed the same.
No.
Right? So that's a very important distinction that we're going to make going through this process.
I'm glad you made that because, we're certainly not, casting judgment on where you are if you have a breakup or anything like that. We're just saying, hey, if you're in that situation, there's some things you can do as a man to build your confidence. I've been through a couple of divorces and, different sets of family responded different ways with each of them. And so part of that growing as a man is realizing, hey, you're going to catch some of that flack, but at the end, you got to build yourself up to be the dad you want to be.
Absolutely. Let's start with some personal stuff, man. So post-breakup, post-divorce, B, where's your confidence at, or where was your confidence at? Where was your self-worth at?
Yeah, so different times, and we talked about it on previous episodes, when that money gets you, when the reality of the breakup hits you financially or emotionally, say emotionally you're alone, not in a relationship anymore, and so you're just used to doing things as a couple, and you're never going to do that with that person again. And so there's a period of, even if you initiated, there's a period of I wouldn't say depression, but you definitely grieve the loss of that, even if you initiate the loss. And then financially, you're shaken up because your whole financial situation gets turned around because of CS. Or, hey, I'm having to support a household and I still have money, even if you don't have a formal CS in place, you're still going to be kicking out money to the other household. So you can feel like, man, I blew it. I don't know how I'm going to come back out of this. I don't have the confidence to make the moves. I've never seen anybody kind of crawl out of this. And so you could be at a pretty low pace. And you can feel less than as a man because something that was really, really important, probably the most important thing to you, that relationship with your partner, you couldn't make it work. So you could be pretty down.
I agree. And I think what happens a lot of times is we are defined in our relationship based on societal expectations. I'm in a relationship, I have a family, I have little ones, I have the significant other with me, and society tells me I need to provide, I need to protect this family. Now that split occurs, how do I provide that protection? How do I provide in general for them, right? And it looks completely different from a single man's perspective than it does from being in that nuclear family type dynamic, right? So now that providing is in the form of child support.
Correct.
Right? And now if I can't afford child support because of my financial situation being so chaotic, right? You can't even provide for your family.
Right.
But that's the kickback that we get.
Yeah.
Or I'm barely making child support, but I can't afford rent or my car payment.
Correct.
You ain't a man. You ain't standing on your own.
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And even when you're doing all you can do, you can get hit with the message of that's not enough.
Yeah.
And those are body blows. It's like, man, I'm working 3 jobs, or I can come to the first half of the game, but I gotta go work a shift. So I'm not gonna be able to go out to get pizza afterwards with the team.
And then how do I provide protection for my little ones now at this time? Right? How is that possible?
Yeah.
I'm not there. I'm only there every other weekend.
Exactly.
I'm only there on Tuesday nights. What is going on here now?
It is. So that expectation, like you said, is that society says if you're not in the house, you're less than as a man. And so how do you kind of fight through that too?
Yeah. And I think then that boils down to redefining masculinity and self-worth within that new dynamic that you have created or you've been part of that creation of, where that separation has occurred. And so how do we redefine masculinity and self-worth as a man, as a single man then?
Yeah. I think, in talking through just the planning on the show, you get a good point is that you have to get to the point where your validation comes from within. You know what you're capable of doing with the circumstances that you have. You know where you want to go. Maybe you don't want to stay just doing that level of engagement or protection or whatever. You have plans to increase that, and you're working towards that. Side, people might not see that work you're being done, or they might not be satisfied with the pace of improvement, right? But hey, I'm here. In 12 months, I'm going to be here. In 18 months, I'm going to be here, and I'm working my plan. So internally, you have to validate yourself. Yeah, that was a good move. Hey, you made, your causes. Whatever your metric is, when you're hitting it, you got to be your own best cheerleader.
Agreed. I think, from a very young age, we're taught to seek external validation. Right? And I liken it to the population that we work with, the age group that we work with. They are extremely externally driven in terms of receiving validation. Everybody's wearing the same shoes. Everybody's wearing the same clothes, right? The same brands, all this stuff, because it's that external validation. You have to mature as a man. And one of the phrases that we use quite often is that mature masculinity, right? Mature masculinity means you are not seeking external validation. Like, shoot, I'm working 3 jobs, still barely making it work with child support and rent and car payments and insurance and putting food on the table and still buying some school clothes, right? That means that, you know what? I got to let go of the Jordans. I got to let go of the designer jeans. I got to let go of some of these things because I no longer am going to seek that external validation, because as a man, I've reached a level of maturity where, listen, I'm going to Walmart and getting a pair of shoes because that's going to get me through, and it's going to give me the extra $30, $130 to get my kid something that they need, to sign them up for T-ball this month. That's what mature masculinity looks like in those moments when you're separated.
So let me ask you this, because I was reflecting back early in my first divorce, and I was not at that point. And I don't know if I would have heard that message. I might have wanted those results. So speak to a dude who, how does that message get through that that's the kind of guy you want to be in the midst of the storm of your situation, right?
It's, I think, number one, having a long-term plan, looking long-term and really seeing, okay, if I want to get here, I can't do this in this moment. Whether it's the designer jeans, whether it's going out with the boys for a weekend trip, whatever that is, I can't do that because it impacts my ability to achieve my long-term goal. And then it's literally putting kids first, as we always say. What's more important, my designer jeans or little Johnny getting signed up for T-ball? Right? Or being able to take him to Chuck E. Cheese? What's more important? And at the end of the day, if you have a solid foundation of morals and values, which I do believe most people do have, then lean on that and look at it. Step back. Be like, we got to go to Chuck E. Cheese this weekend. I don't need those jeans. I don't need that hat. I don't need that jewelry. We got to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Because those moments at Chuck E. Cheese, those memories are going to last forever for him and for you. But them jeans, they ain't.
I love what you said about having a long-term plan, And like I said, I wasn't that way in my initial breakups.
Neither was I, man. Listen, this is all retrospective.
Probably wouldn't have had a breakup if I had a long-term plan. You know what I mean? You make this marriage last for 50, 60 years, right? So, but now when I speak to my kids who have kids, it's one in particular who was going through some similar things, right? To the audience that we're speaking to. I remember sitting down with him a couple times and saying, hey, when you're 70 years old, what do you want it to look like with your family? Okay, so we're in our mid-20s now, early 20s now. When you're 70, what do you want it to look like? And what's the decision you can make today that's going to keep you on that trajectory to what you want it to look like on 70? And so, you hit the nail on the head. If you're able to maintain that and have the discipline to have the delayed gratification in the moment, you'll track there. If you don't, and we know it's hard, fellas, because a lot of tasty vittles around, right? A lot of shiny things.
Lots of.
If you don't, even in the moment, say, hey, I'm not going to delay the gratification. I'm going to get gratified. Then you can create a whole nother track for yourself. So, but that speaks back to what you said, internal validation of, even when nobody's looking, I know I made the best dad move today.
Yes. Yeah. And I love when you say that. That's my favorite phrase. What is my next best dad move, right? So, internal versus external, really working from the inside out.
Right.
That is such a big thing right there. And I'll say this in terms of mature masculinity in regards to the topic that we're speaking about right now is that think about how you dressed as a middle schooler, even a high schooler, right? And now you're 30 years old. You're in that range, or you're even older 20s, right? Or even mid 20s. If you're still dressing the same, have you truly grown as a man, right? Have you started to mature from a masculine standpoint?
Right.
Like if I'm still wearing what I wore or dressing how I dressed in middle school and high school, you might be a little impeded in terms of your maturation process.
Be a sign of that.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Look,
we all take a couple laps around the track. So, and I grew up in the 80s, right? And we had some banging styles.
Yo, and I'm a 90s kid, so.
It's a banging style, so, you know, stuff recycled. But what we're saying is like, hey, if you're, you know, what I hear you saying is that if you're doing that for, you know, the pounds and the, you know, you look at fly from external sources, that's not going to necessarily direct you where you need to go as a dad. One thing on our second point we talked about too is let go. You talked about it earlier, let go of society's expectations. You have to reframe your single fatherhood as a positive. Not a positive in the sense that you want that to continue, but you have a unique opportunity to go inward and redesign how you're going to be as a dad, to be more intentional. So maybe there were some things that you just kind of, because you're around your kids all the time, you just took for granted. And now you got to be super purposeful about it. You got to be super purposeful about, you know, the weekly phone calls or the dates or the special places that we get or the bedtime routines and stuff like that. And it makes you really lock into the essence of what's really important as a dad.
Yes.
You just don't have bundles of time.
No.
You don't have tons of money. So you gotta make those hits count. But just because you're a single father, you're not less than. That's the thing we want to reframe.
Yeah.
You're not less than. You got maybe a lot more work to do, but you're not less valuable. You're more valuable, dog. Seriously. Like you really, you know, we need you in there doing that work.
Yeah. So yeah, and that whole letting go of societal expectations coincides directly with seeking internal validation as opposed to external validation. When we seek external validation, we're living by the rules that society has set.
And they shift and move.
Man, they shift and move. And they're just not, they're not going to allow you to achieve what you need to achieve. Right. And I'm not knocking all of society's values. There's some great things out there, right? Yeah. But there are other things that are going to drive you in a direction to a place that is just going to be detrimental long term to you. And that's it. So yeah, letting go of society's expectations, seeking internal validation, and then being assertive from a vulnerable standpoint. So I can go and I can talk to my boys about what's occurred, or how do I mature? How do I grow? And we can have these conversations with men that have been through similar things, or just people that we trust.
Yeah. And it is. It's being, hey, I'm not shrinking away. Like the one thing about men is when the problem is really defined, we can lean into. We're problem solvers. We'll lean into it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're in a circumstance that's so overwhelming, you can't see the problem for the fog and the noise. I had a conversation with one of my sons recently. And he has a lot going on in his life. And I remember, and it hit me in my chest because I know exactly how he's feeling. And he just, you know, we had a whole day together, and this was the beginning of the day, and he was just looking kind of drained. I said, well, what's going on? And he said, Dad, my life is so noisy right now. And I said, man, I just felt that. And there's so much going on that you just don't even know what's the next move to make, right? I said, what do you do in this situation? He said, well, I go home and I play my video game because it's quiet. It quiets my mind. You know, that was that, you know, assertive vulnerability. Like, hey, I'm at this point, you know, I'm not shrinking away from the problem, but I'm letting you know it is a lot for me to handle right now.
Wow.
And so then we talked about, okay, we're not going to eat that whole pie at one time. Let's take a slice, we'll have a day together, and let's find some outlets for when it's noisy. The noise might not die down for a minute, but hey, here's some positive outlets that you can do to kind of calm your mind. So we went out, played 18 holes of golf, 16 holes of golf, right?
There we go.
We had some good barbecue down there in Southern Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So, but if he doesn't feel comfortable saying, here I am, it's really a lot right now.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of those opportunities. And me as a man, 30, 40 years down the road from where he was, I was like, I remember that feeling. The Toy Story, that's that feeling. Yeah. Right? And so it's so important, guys, to have a place where you can say, hey, this is where I'm at, but I'm going to go ahead and make these moves as a dad the next day.
Man, that when you said it's so noisy, I was like, yo, like just how when he said it to you, you felt it.
Yeah.
I just felt it too, man.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
That noise is overbearing it sometimes,
Yeah.
man. It's real. That's so real.
Yeah, it is.
Shit.
So,
Right here, man.
hey, but you know, it hit me. I had to put my rib down for a second when we were eating. And he said, I was like, yo, son, I feel you. You know, when your kids are experiencing something you know you felt,
Yeah.
it's like, you wish you could take it away as a dad.
Yeah. Because you've experienced it.
No doubt about
right?
it. It's very...
And you know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's back, you know, we talk about redefining masculinity. That's masculinity right there.
Yeah.
That's real masculinity, where a man is saying, yeah, I feel like I'm going to put my shield down in this battle right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got to stand off on the edge of the forest. I can't be in the fray. Mm-hmm. And you're able to be there with him and speak a little bit of life into him. So it's okay, let's dust ourselves off. We're going to get back into this fight.
Yeah.
That's a man being a man. But society says you can't show that flank. You can't show that vulnerability.
Right.
But you got to, gentlemen. You got to have some space where you do it.
You have to walk into the fire.
You do.
You have to walk into the fire. And if you can walk in with somebody, you know, all the better. You got to walk through it.
Yep.
Man, that's good stuff.
Yep.
Well, B, one of the things that you are exceptional at is if I come to you with like, yo, I'm doing this, and you're like, well, you 6X this week. And I'm like, I didn't even think about it like that.
Winners.
Wins, man. Confidence. I mean, small wins build confidence.
They do.
And you need to celebrate those small wins at every moment. And I'm not saying going overboard with like we're celebrating like with spending money and doing things of that nature or buying ourselves things.
Right.
But taking a moment and go, damn. Yeah, I did that. I did that. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I made rent this month. That's a win, right? I'm out. I paid rent. All the bills are good. Let's go. I made it to the gym 7 times, whatever.
Absolutely.
Win.
Wins.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're in the midst of, you know, when you say wins, I was thinking about interactions with my exes.
That too.
That are so much more positive than they were 18 months ago. One of them in particular, right? And so that's a win. When you can step back and say, hey, 3 years ago, if I'd been in that same conversation with her, it would have gone left. And instead, it was a pleasant conversation that was building to everybody and productive. It was like, okay, that's a growth. I mean, you got to celebrate the growth. But the small wins, and you know this because of workouts, the small wins come from consistency of action, even when you're not seeing the wins right away.
Yeah.
It's a consistency of, I'm going to do this thing regardless. And then the fruit of it comes later, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you do a lot of great things. And sometimes I think, does this dude see what's going on?
I don't. I swear to God, I don't, man.
Does he see? 18 months ago, this thing was like in the ether, and now it's like it's a physical thing? Stuff like that. It's like,
this dude, man, I'm telling you, I'm so grateful for you, man, on a real, because you hit those things. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was cool. That is pretty cool. I didn't even see that. That is pretty cool, man. But I'm so focused on next step. And that's where I think a lot of people that are driven fell at. Right, we're always like, all right, what's next? What next? But breaks for 1 second.
Yeah.
You just reached the end of the first quarter and you're up 10.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. So we did something good.
Yeah.
So let's look at the first quarter. Celebrate that first quarter.
Right.
All right, now how do we get better in the second quarter?
Right.
Like, and I don't do that a lot.
Right.
But you'll hit me with something and I'll be like, oh yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah. That is pretty cool, man.
Right. But you know, to your credit, you're good at keeping the end in mind and like, oh, okay, not resting on the laurels too much, but you know. A little rest on the laurels.
Here's a little off-topic story. Sunday, me and my girls, I just had dropped off my oldest, and it was just me and my youngest, right? Mm-hmm. And we busy Sunday morning doing all kinds of different things, just daddy-daughter time. Yeah. And I'll sprinkle in a little entrepreneurial work in there. And then when I dropped her off, I was like, I had dropped her off at a new location because I was doing some entrepreneurial work, but I let them engage with me in these processes, so I still have those moments, and they know why we're doing it, so it's cool. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna drive home. I'm gonna sit down and watch a movie and just take some me time. I got 30 minutes into that movie.
You were like,
nope. I was like, emails, phone calls, text messages. All right, let's go.
You're the better man. Because I'd have watched the movie. I would have gone out and got a b-ball sub, asked my wife if she wanted to watch another movie. Dude, good man.
And then all of a sudden, it's like 7:00, and I'm like, and I look at my little one, and she's doing all kinds of like little princess dress up things around me while I'm working, and I was like, you want to watch a movie? She goes, yeah, daddy. And then I shut it down.
There you go.
Then I shut it down.
Good for you.
Yeah, I did. I balanced things somewhat.
Right. Well, he's a driver. Don't let him smooth taste food. This dude's a driver.
Yeah, so celebrating those wins, man,
Yes,
no matter
it's
how
important.
small, are
Yep.
important.
Yeah. One thing that helps, and you spoke to it earlier, is like the power of the circle of your friends around you. Like,
Yeah.
if you got a bunch of negative Nellies, you can't have negative Nellies around you in this journey.
Yeah.
You can't have jokers in your that are pulling you off your moral center. Like, if you were trying to lock in on being a dad and be a better co-parent, you can't have cats pulling you to the club and strip joints every night to let off some steam.
That's not
Gonna get you where you want to be at 70, right? So your circle will reinforce the confidence to get the small wins, to be consistent. And so we talked about in previous episodes. That's one of our main, 5 F's of fitness, right? Is that circle of friends that are fit for that journey with you are really, really important.
Yeah, they are. And here's the thing about building that circle. Some people will bring amazing things to that circle, but they'll also bring not so amazing things to that circle. So
I know you got a story.
it's nothing crazy. It's nothing too crazy, right?
Right.
We have a mutual friend who's amazing that brings all kinds of things from a mentorship standpoint. Just like you look at him, you're like, oh, I want to emulate that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to build like he's building. I want to reach that professionally,
Yeah.
right? And then just some knowledge that he'll drop
Yeah.
on you. But also, he texted me at 6:30 last night after I just get back in the house from fighting with a vending machine for 4 hours. He goes, hey, come out for margaritas.
Hey, he's fluid.
But he's reached a certain point in his life where he can do that on a,
Correct.
was that Monday night?
On a
Spur
work day, right.
Yeah, on a work night. He's reached that in his
Right.
life. I have not. I said, bruh, I just got back from fighting with a vending machine for 4 hours.
Right.
I said, I ain't going nowhere.
Right. Come on out.
So I get a rain check till Sunday,
Right.
and he said, yeah, I got you.
Good.
But he brings so much great things.
Yes.
And not that that's a bad
That's
thing.
not.
It's just, I'm not capable of doing that at this
that
point in my
right now.
life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
put things in place in his life that is a testament to him and his hard work that
Definitely.
allows him to do that.
Definitely.
But I haven't reached that point
Right.
yet.
Right. And you definitely, you're definitely on your way. So,
Yeah.
but the point is like, hey, that circle will help affirm you as a man, affirm you as a dad trying to level their game up, and celebrate those small wins with you, right?
Yes.
Help you see the perspective of like, yo, dude, you had 2, and now you got 7. That's like,
That's big time.
next week you might have 15 or whatever, but you're showing growth, right? And you're doing the thing. Like, you want cats that celebrate, not when the garden is fully grown out and you picking vegetables. Hey, this is a plot of overgrown weeds and land,
Yeah.
and I'm going to help you clear it.
Yeah.
We're going to celebrate that.
They see the potential.
Correct.
They see it.
Correct.
Yeah. If you can get people in your circle
Yep.
that can see what you see or somewhat be in that realm of
Yep.
seeing things, they're like, I don't know if I see it right there, but I do see the potential that exists.
Right.
Those are people you want.
Yes, you do.
You want those people in your circle, man.
Yes, you
I'm
do.
telling you. And now I'm just thinking about the wins that you've had because of the circle you have and because of the hard work that you put in with Honey Dun.
Yeah.
Where was Honey Dun at 2 years ago, right?
was-
Where was the Honey Dun at 3 years ago?
Right.
Now look where you are.
Yeah.
How many people got that on their phone right now?
Right.
Like, shoot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people with that on their phone
There's a
right
lot of people on the phone, a lot of people we've talked with face to face.
Yeah.
But, we talked recently about a circumstance where I can make a decision either way to show up for this thing or not. And so it's still a battle. And I appreciate the confidence you said. Because I was thinking, like, if I go to work the next day and I told John I was going to do this and I didn't do that thing.
now.
But that circle motivates you.
Yeah.
Silently. Just by their example, their work ethic, and what how they keep you accountable, right? You just can't beat it. You're going to be who you're around, and you want to be around dads that are going to gas you up.
Yeah, dads are going to drive you and gas you up. Yeah, absolutely. But also be real with you, right?
Yeah.
That circle has to be real.
Yeah.
Like, I think that a good circle, I think you explained it so perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
A good circle is going to motivate and inspire, but also put a little bit of fear in you.
Yes, they
like,
are.
I don't want to talk to them about the fact that I didn't do what I said I was going to do,
Yeah.
right?
And that's
Shoot,
that's it. Yeah.
one of the people that are in our circle on Sundays, I think of him now, and I had never thought of him in this light
Right.
because now he's working out so consistently. I'm like, dang, he's up on me, I think. I think he's beating me now.
Yes.
So now I'm like, I don't want to go to Sunday and be like, yeah, I only worked out 3 times this
Right,
week. And he's
right.
like, well, I got 5
Right.
when he was at 0.
A year ago, 6 months ago.
So, yeah, now your circle will grow with you. Yeah.
And if you do those things, if you find confidence in the small wins, right, and you have a circle of people around you that are going to celebrate those things, when they're not around, you're able to speak life into yourself. Because really, at the end of the day, you spend all your time with yourself. And sometimes you're around other people, but you're always with you.
Yeah.
And you have got to be able to speak life into your current self and the future self that you envision. And the hardest time is when you either haven't done something you were supposed to do or you did something you weren't supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Getting back on track to, hey, that's the vision of the father that I want to be. What can I do now? Like, hey, I made a mistake here. I neglected this. Okay, what can I do now?
Can you think of a specific moment in your life where you were off track and you spoke life into yourself to get you back on track? Like a defining moment, maybe not necessarily a complete defining moment, but just you're like, you took an exit and you're like, I took the wrong exit.
Yeah, I think one time was, we talked about in previous episodes, a situation with my daughter where I had to own some stuff and really see some things from her standpoint and really look at myself and say, I knew I kind of blew it, but now I really understand how much I blew it. Mm-hmm. And so verbalizing that and then to myself saying, okay, moving forward, what are we going to do? And then a similar thing with my oldest son where many, many years later, he came to me with similar energy as her and really hurt as he reflected on, some things in his life. And he was in his probably mid-20s at that point. And he's giving it to me undiluted. I took that in, and then in a later conversation came back and said, hey, B, I really wish I could have done something different there. But we got our whole lives ahead of us. What do we want to create now?
Next best move.
And so those are just two that come to mind right now. And then there's small ones. I promise you I would call a certain time, let time get away from me, was on the phone doing stupid stuff. And then, I don't call till the next morning. But I call the next morning, right? Yeah. So let's get back on the track. Yeah. So sometimes it's small things, sometimes it's really big things. The point is, you got to speak, you got to say, hey, I did this, but this kind of father I'm going to be. Mm-hmm. And let me do this thing today.
That's powerful, man. Yeah. So powerful.
How about you?
Well, one moment that really sticks out in my head is it's maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month and a half or something like that, mm-hmm. after my second BM had mm-hmm. left. Right. So it's nighttime. I'm starting to walk upstairs up the steps. And as I hit the first or second step, mm-hmm. I'm thinking damn, she's not upstairs, kid's not upstairs, I'm all alone. And for some reason, it just hit me in that moment because I guess I was so used to she's already being up there in the bed, the kid's already in the bed, and I'm walking up and I go, boom, I just felt this bear jump on my back. Yeah. And I start to fall down to my knee and stopped. And I said, get yourself together, stand up, you got this, you were built for this. And I just remember standing up straight and just walking up the rest of the steps. But it was this metaphorical thing, right?
Yeah.
Got myself back up and finished the steps. Right. Strong. Finished and just got up to the top. And once I got to the top, it was I had left that old guy at the bottom of the steps type thing, Right. But I literally said to myself, and it was one of the first times in my life where I said to myself, yo, get up.
Yeah.
Do the work.
Right.
This is no one else's responsibility besides yours. Right. You're accountable for this right now. Go. And now I do that all the time. There'll be a moment yo, chill. Inside my head, I'll be chill. Right. You got this. Let's work. Yeah. So I had to do it yesterday. I had to do it yesterday. Yeah. Okay. With that fight with the vending machine.
The little one was there with you too? Yeah. You're okay, we're going to fight. We're going to figure this thing out.
But I must do it out. I must do it out loud a little bit too, that I don't realize. Because now I hear her. She'll be like, you got this, Isla. I look over, I'll be like, you do got this, Isla. Let's go.
But it's, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
You're with yourself. Be your own best. I tell kids sometimes that are struggling with low self-esteem, you got to be your own best cheerleader. You do. And even when you aren't doing all the things that you need to do, you got to cheer those times that you do it. Mm-hmm. And then cheer the times that you're going to do it. Right?
Yes.
And so as men who are out there in it, you're a single dad, maybe just fresh breakup, trying to figure out, kids and your role and your place in their life, all that. Speak to the dad you want to be.
Yes.
And then do a small action toward that. Yeah, be your own best cheerleader, guys. Because it might be a while before people are gassing you up.
It might be. What's going to happen is people are going to define you on your past. They're going to define you by your past. It doesn't matter what you're doing right now.
Right.
You could be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and they're going to look oh yeah, but he cheated on 3 different wives.
Exactly.
But you could be going to church every Sunday. You could be the most involved father. You could be a completely reformed man.
Correct.
You could be giving to every charity in the world.
Correct.
You could be doing everything right in the present. But people will be like, oh, you remember 10 years ago? You remember 5 years ago? Yeah. But the key is not to define yourself by your past, even though others are going to do that.
That's a big way. You can't. The past is a terrible taskmaster, man.
Oof.
Because we tend to focus on the most negative things we did. Right?
Yeah.
And it'll beat you down. Yeah. So, I can't put any better than that, man. You did. You nailed that.
Yeah, so you have to look at what you're doing in the moment and say, is what I'm doing in the moment how I want to be defined? No matter what anyone else is saying about
Right.
you, do I want to be defined as this type of man? What I'm doing right now,
Right.
or what I'm working towards,
Right.
right? If that answer is yes, then you good. You are good. But if
Yeah.
you look at yourself honestly and authentically and you're
Right.
like, ooh,
Yeah.
maybe not, then that's the problem.
Yeah. And you got the power to choose differently.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yes.
Today's episode, fellas, we wanted to make sure that we were building into and speaking to, you developing confidence and self-worth as a single dad. Hey, we know it's a slog, but you can reframe this season that you're in positive ways and do positive things with it.
And I want to also add, as we end this episode, is going back to something we talked about pre-show, is that a lot of times, fellas, the solution is simple. We're men. The solution is not overly complicated a lot of times, right? If you're attempting to redefine yourself, it's not going to be this overly complicated, intricate thing a lot of times.
Right.
It's like, all right, what are some things that can drive me positively into the future? Right? And that's it. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's meditation. And the key is to just start this stuff. It doesn't have to be this psychoanalytical process,
No.
right? Just go to the gym once a week,
Right.
right? Just meditate once a week.
Yeah.
Just pray once a week.
Yeah.
Start with some simple things
Yeah.
to things that a lot of times don't require complicated
They
solutions.
really don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a bias towards action. with
Yeah.
the simple stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
good.
And then you'll redefine who you are by the end of the day,
No doubt about
right?
it. Yep.
Hey,
Absolutely.
yes, sir.
Good stuff.
Is that it for today, sir?
I think that's it.
That's it. All right.
We'll have some more next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for being part of this journey today.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. And as always, be better,
Not.
bitter.
Yep.
I'm John.
Kelly.
Peace.